I didn't really ask him why he flushed his underwear down the toilet because that's really none of my business. But I did tell him he probably shouldn't do that no more.
All right, Danny, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, bud. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. All right, so you are a plumber by trade, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, you work over here at First Choice.
Yes, sir.
All right, so how long you been a plumber for?
Going on 15 years now.
Okay. So I know a lot of people are looking to get into, certain service industries. Plumbing's really popular, especially in the DFW area. There's so many people moving in.
Right.
People need your services.
Yes,
Companies
sir.
are always hiring.
Yes, sir.
So why don't you take us through the very beginning? Like, what made you want to get into this business?
Well, I was tired of working in the food business.
Oh, okay.
So I wanted something new and got into plumbing.
Did anybody tell you about it before?
No, they never told me. They never even said anything about plumbing. I knew a buddy, and he talked to his dad and got me a job.
Oh, wow.
That's where it went from.
So was that here in Texas?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So take us through that first initial steps, like what someone has to do to become a plumber.
First, you got to get an apprentice card. You know, you gotta find a master plumber to work for, like a company that has a master plumber. You get you an apprentice card, and
what is an apprentice card?
it's a license that gives you pretty much permission in the state of Texas to plumb.
Okay, and is that given by the master plumber, or do you have to take a test or something?
No, you can just file for an apprentice card. You just go to the plumbing state board, the Texas State Board, and file for it. I think it's like $7, $12 to get an apprentice card.
Okay,
and that's basically where you start.
So in order to file, though, you have to prove that you're working on it.
Yes, you do have to have a master plumber most of the time. Sometimes I don't think you have to, but from my experience, you needed to have a master plumber.
Okay, so you have to try to get a job under a master plumber, apply
Yes, sir.
for your apprentice card.
Yes, sir.
And then what do you do after that?
You just go to work.
You go to
start
work?
counting hours.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is there a specific number of hours you start after that?
You start at zero basically, and you got to have 4,000 hours to become a tradesman plumber.
Okay.
Which is the next license after the apprentice.
Okay.
And then to become a journeyman like myself, you need to have 8,000 hours.
After the tradesman?
4,000 after you get your tradesman. You got to keep it for another 4,000 hours.
Okay.
And then you can get your journeyman license. And then after you get your journeyman license, you keep it for 4 years.
Okay.
You got to keep it up to date, pay all your fines or your fees and everything, your renewal fees. Do your continuing ed. That's a big, important part of it is continuing ed.
Okay.
So, and then once you do that, you keep it for 4 years, and then you're on your road to being a master.
Okay. So you started off as an
apprentice.
Apprentice.
Yes, sir.
Go 4,000 hours.
Yes, sir.
Under a master plumber. And then at that point, is there any testing or license?
Yes, you got to take a written test and a workshop test, basically. You plumb a little dollhouse.
And that's to become a journeyman?
A tradesman or a journeyman,
okay.
Yes, sir.
And so what's that test like?
I mean, the tradesman, it's all right. It's not, it's doable.
Okay. How many hours did you have to study for that?
Basically, you don't really study. You do, but it's more hands-on, I think. Really.
Okay. Can you describe the test then, or is it?
It's written. There's 80 questions.
Okay.
For the tradesman, there's 80 questions. Let's see. The workshop that was fun. You had to do rolling offsets. You had to prove that you knew how to solder. Cut pipe, gas pipe, thread it. And then you get to plumb a dollhouse. A little 2-story dollhouse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's not like an actual dollhouse. It's pretty big. It's pretty intimidating.
So there's literally a place you go to that's like a fake house, and then they make you do certain things.
Yes, sir. Waco or Austin. Yes, sir. You go to the Texas State Board.
Okay.
And that's where you take your workshop exam.
And that's on top of the written test. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
How long did it take you to take the written test?
The written, I think it was an hour.
Okay.
It took me about an hour. The dollhouse and in my workshop, that probably took about 3 hours.
I see. And then, so now you're a tradesman, plumber, and then you have another 4,000 hours you have to work.
Yes. So that's another 2 to 3 years, depending on how many hours you work in that year.
Right, and you're still under a master plumber at
Yes,
this
sir.
time.
Yes, sir.
And then the next level is the journeyman plumber.
The journeyman, yes. And that's for commercial and residential, but mainly commercial work. There's a difference between tradesman and journeyman.
Okay, so a journeyman can't work on the commercial side.
No, a journeyman can work on the commercial side. A tradesman can't work on the commercial side without a journeyman plumber or a master plumber there with him.
I see. Okay. So to become the journeyman now, you have to take another test.
Yes, another written test, and I believe it was 100 questions, if I remember correct.
Okay. Is that a more advanced test?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So you had to study for that one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
How many hours did you think you studied for that one?
Probably like 4 days. And then right before I went in, because things usually tend to stick a little bit better when I look at it right before I do something.
Right.
Because, there's a lot of stuff going through your head when you're trying to test out for journeyman. For sure.
And do you have to go somewhere?
I went to Grayson County, the college, Grayson College, Grayson County College. That's where I took my journeyman test at.
I see. And then is it more multiple choice or written?
It's all multiple choice.
It's all multiple choice?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And is there a dollhouse component to that one?
No, sir. No. It's the only reason is because I took my workshop test when I did my tradesman license. I went in order. You don't have to, but I did. I went from apprentice to tradesman to journeyman.
I see. All right. So you get your journeyman license now. Mm-hmm. This is after 8,000 hours. Mm-hmm. And then you said you had to do 4 more years of working.
Yes, and now at this point, it's not the hours that count; it's the years.
Okay.
So now you have to go by the years. You have to keep your journeyman license up to date and in order for 4 solid years.
Right.
And then you'll be able to test for masters.
So is there? Not only are you working full time, but is there like continuing education you mentioned?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is that like?
That basically just goes over the rules and code, to keep you up to date with it. Mm-hmm. You take a little test at the end of your continuing ed, and you just need to prove that you did that.
How often is the continuing?
I believe it's once a year, but it may be 2. I don't remember right now.
Okay.
Like exactly how many times I got to do continuing ed this year here pretty soon before September.
So every year.
Every year I have to do it at least once.
So that's a test, or is that like a class?
It's a class.
Okay.
It's a class. Yes, sir. It's an hour. Yeah. Well, it's not an hour. I'm lying. It takes 8 hours to do continuing ed if you go to the classroom. Mm-hmm. But like tradesmen, they have to go to a classroom.
Okay.
A journeyman can do correspondence, which is over the computer. Mm-hmm. I don't have to go nowhere. I can just do it at my house.
Right.
I can take as long as I want.
And you're doing that now as a journeyman?
Yeah, every year. Yes, sir.
Okay. So tradesmen do continuing ed, but they have to go into class.
Yes.
How long is that for?
It's an 8-hour class.
Every year?
Every year, once a year, yes.
Okay. And then
the journeyman. They have the choice. They can go to a classroom, a physical classroom, and do the 8 hours, or you could do correspondence, and that's over the internet.
Okay.
And that takes about anywhere between 4 to 6, depending on how consistent you are with your stuff.
And then how far along the journey are you right now?
I've got a year and a half left before I can test for masters. Yes.
Okay, and that's the highest designation.
Yeah. Oh well, I mean, yeah.
In the state of Texas.
That's where I'm trying to be.
Right. Right. And do you have any idea what that master test is like?
It's the business side of plumbing. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's just it teaches you how to run your own business.
Right.
They give you the skills and the know-how to run a business.
Okay.
And be successful at it, basically.
Right. And then is there a particular location that test is taken?
That I haven't really. I'm pretty sure I'd have to go to Austin for that, or Waco. I'd have to go to the state board. I might be able to do it at Grayson County. I don't know.
Right.
I won't know till that day comes.
Any idea how many questions are on this test?
I believe it's 100 as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to say it's 100.
All right.
And there are multiple choice as well. There's lots of math in it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of math.
So tell us what your daily routine is like then as a journeyman plumber. Like you'll get up in the morning, come in.
Yeah, and get if I have to come to the shop to get material, I will. If not, then I basically just go to my first call and handle business.
And then the company will give you an itinerary before.
Oh, yes, they do. They do give me a schedule.
Okay.
It has 4 or 5 jobs on it, and my goal is to complete those jobs before the end of the day.
Is that 4 or 5 jobs per day?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But that could not be met if one job takes a lot longer than...
No, now you're just working later.
Oh, wow. So you're going to finish it no matter what.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to finish. If I get off at 8, then I get off at 8. If I get off at 3, then I get off at 3. It just depends on how fast and how well I do my job.
What's your most common type of issues you run across?
As of right now, the last couple of weeks have been water heaters.
Okay.
Yeah, water heaters. I like to do water heaters.
Are you replacing them or fixing them?
Replacing them, fixing them. Yeah, I mean, either way. If it's repairable, then I'll repair it. If not, then I'll replace it and then put all new in.
Okay. So here in Texas, how is it like when someone wants to get into this business, they got to learn how to take the heat, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you got to learn how to drink water. You got to stay hydrated, especially if you're working outside. If new construction is involved, then you definitely want to stay hydrated because that is definitely going to take a toll on you. Service work, not so much because you are in and out. It just depends on what the job is. So it's not so bad, but I mean, yesterday was hot. Today's supposed to be even hotter.
Right. And there's some physical fitness there because you guys are taking these water heaters up and down from the attics in Texas.
Right? Yes, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
For people who are watching this around the country, Texas homes, a lot of them have the water heaters up in the attic for some reason.
Yes.
Is that slowly changing?
I believe so. I don't want to say yes because there are some builders that still put their water heaters in the attic, which is probably not the best place for them. If they break, water line busts, you got a leaky water heater. I mean, everything below that water heater is going to get ruined.
Right.
So,
do you know why they started doing that?
I guess to save space in the house because it is awkward to have a big old huge water heater, sitting in your living room or wherever you needed to have it so it could hit the whole house. But
does it being up high help with water coming down?
No, I don't think so. I think it's more of let's not have it in the way type of deal. Like
in where the house is.
Yeah, like living spaces and everything.
I see. Okay.
Yes.
And then finally, if there's someone out there who is thinking about becoming a plumber, what are your tips and advice to give them?
Man, just listen, pay attention. Like they're a master plumber for a reason.
Okay.
And they're going to be able to teach you something. Down the road they will.
Okay.
Whether you think so or not, it's going to happen.
Right.
That's the whole thing of it, really. I mean, just pay attention.
Are there particular traits that you look for in a good plumber?
Knowledge, really. Just knowing what you're doing. I think is a big thing. The know-how. I mean, that comes with the experience, really. Right. You figure out how to solve problems. Like once you've been doing it for a while, like sometimes I can read my ticket and I know what's going on before I even get there. Before I even seen or hear the people talk to me about what's going on, I already know.
Right.
And I most likely already have the part to fix your issue before I even get to your house.
Right.
Because if they give a good enough description in the work order, then it ain't going to be hard for me to decipher what's going on and what needs to be done to fix the issue.
Sure. And then just from personal experience, any examples, some of the weirdest things you've seen, some of the toughest things you've seen?
Really, I mean, when you're doing sewer stoppages, you come into some pretty questionable things.
Okay.
That's why the sewer stopped up.
What do you mean by questionable?
I mean, I've pulled out underwear out of people's sewer, like they flushed it down their toilet and it stopped up their whole entire house. They've had to get their house redone because it ruined all their floors, and it's all because they flushed boxers down the toilet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about, but he had a reason. I guess
Wow.
so. That reason cost him a little bit of money in the end. You
Okay.
know. So, but yeah, it's good.
Okay. So be prepared to see all kinds of
Yeah, I
strange
mean,
things.
there's things that you wouldn't think you'd see plumbing that you see plumbing.
Okay.
Like, it's pretty crazy sometimes.
How was that conversation like with the owner of the house?
I didn't really ask him why he flushed his underwear down the toilet because that's really none of my business. But I did tell him he probably shouldn't do that no more.
Right.
Because it's not no good for his toilet or his plumbing.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely.
So.
All right.
It's crazy though. It's fun. It's a good gig. I like plumbing.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll end with that.
All right.
Thank you for doing this.
Yes, sir.
And we hope to see you in some future videos.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you.